Okay, so this game was a different was a new one. It's they in this game we have something called a King's Indian Attack. I had never heard of it, but I'd seen some of the things here. So this guy starts with knight f3. So usually I would have played maybe e4. No, not e4. I would have played e5, but I cannot play it now because if I play e5, then the knight would take. So what I was wondering what else I could do. So I moved my d pawn d to I moved the pawn to d5, and then he does this, which is very unusual opening, at least for the level of 873. So but I was kind of seeing where this is going. I really wanted to put my pawn on e5, but I still could not. So before I could put my pawn on e5, I wanted to protect the e5 square by putting my knight on d on c6. But I went with knight f6 because I wanted to protect my d5 pawn from the bishop, which would come at g2, because this that is what the idea is here. This is something called a fianchetto. Fianchetto in Italian means a hut. So as you can see, the pawns on the white pawns, they make a kind of a hut shape, and in between the hut there will be the bishop, which will staring diagonally at my pawn, and it will attack there. So I wanted to protect my pawn, and then I wanted to move my knight on c6 so that I can move my pawn e7 e7. I can move my pawn to e5, and that is what so this is exactly what a fianchetto is. So now once his knight moves, my pawn would be under attack. So now what now I moved my knight here so that I can protect the square and move my pawn ahead. And in case the knight decides to take, I will be able to take it back. And in case after that the bishop takes my pawn, I will be able to take using my knight on f6 without having to move my queen. So, and now this is where I started realizing, okay, so do you want to play like this? How about I make your bishop useless? So I had this idea in my mind. And how would I make the bishop useless? By putting my two pawns on d5 and e4, because if my pawns are there, they would be connected pawns, and the bishop would not have any mobility left. The only place it could go would be to go back or come to the next square. But if it comes to the next square, which is h3, my bishop on c8 would kill it. And if it goes back, then the white player is not getting any development here. So he castles, and this was surprising to me, that how someone could castle so quickly. uh, I mean, I know it could be done, but like this castling at this time seemed to be too quick for me. So I was surprised. But in any case, I moved my pawn ahead here, and my intention was to bring my pawn from e5 to e4. And let's see what he did. Yeah, he moved his pawn to remove my pawn from here. But because as I told you that my idea was e4, so I did not take the pawn on d4. I moved my pawn forward, and now his bishop is almost immobile. It cannot move anywhere unless my pawns uh, move from these two squares, or some other pawns take them. So he moves his knight here. uh, I so I have to. So one simple answer would one simple response would have been to take this knight using my knight on c6. But if I took it, his pawn would take my knight, and my knight on f6 would be under attack. So I did not want to do that. I looked for some different moves, and for I decided not to move my bishop on c8 to g4 because I did not want to give away my bishop for free. Like, I did not want to give my bishop in exchange for a knight, so I wanted to give my knight away. So this would so what I did was I moved my knight on f6 to g4. Now my knight is attacking on my knight. Both of my knight are attacking the same knight, which is on e5. So now he has to either take my knight or move away. He chose to do this stupid thing. He maybe thought he was forking me or something, but I took using my king. And then he tried to kick my knight away, and I just brought it back because his bishop cannot move anywhere, so his bishop is useless, and he still does not have any other development. So all of his pieces are at the back rank. Bishop has not moved, queen has not moved, the knight has not moved, the rook has not moved, and most of his pawns have not moved. And the piece which has moved, the bishop, it is useless. So it seemed to me that I had an advantage here. So I developed, normally I was looking for some development moves. And so he is trying to attack my pawn on d5 because he realizes that his bishop cannot move. He If he attacks my pawn and I take using my knight on f6, he would lose his knight, but then the pawn on e4 would be captured by the bishop. So so I so so instead of taking using the knight, I should take using the king, using the queen, because that way the pawn on e4 will be protected. So I just kept this in my mind and developed my bishop to this square because I just wanted to eliminate this threat. I wanted my pawns to stay here. I did not want to capture using my queen, or I did not want to move. I did not want to remove my pawns from the center. So in case if he does not decide to take my pawn, I would just take the knight and I'll be happy. So let's see what he did. He did not take the pawn. So yeah, and so I wanted to move his bishop away because it was blocking my knight. It was blocking the mobility of my knight. And I think the idea here was that if he blocks my knight, he can attack using his knight, and then because I will not be able to take. The idea was to take my pawn on d5 using his not on d5, on e4 using his knight, and I will not be able to move my knight there because it is pinned to the queen. So I will have to kill the knight using my pawn, and then he can kill my pawn so that his bishop can have some mobility again. This would lose him 1 point because he would get two pawns in exchange for a knight. Well, I don't know, maybe he was stupid or not, because he has already given me his knight for just 1 pawn. So maybe he thought he could do something like that. So let's see what he did. Obviously, he brought his bishop and he had to save his bishop. So he moved the bishop away and unpinning the knight. So now what I did was, let me see if I can remember what I did. So yeah, so I also wanted to immobilize this bishop on e3 as well. So I just went ahead and moved my g pawn to g5, and now his bishop on e3 is also useless because it cannot move anywhere. If it comes forward, it will die. If it goes back, then it's useless anyways. And let's see what he did here. He moved his pawn. Uh, yeah, he moved his pawn, trying to move my, trying to get my pawns away from the center. And I did not want to give my pawn. I did not want to remove my pawns from the center, so I just moved. I just took. So yeah, I took this knight first to remove any threats on my pawns. One of the threats on my pawns, and he so right now he cannot take my pawns in the center because my bishop is hanging, and he should take my bishop. So he takes my bishop, and here I realized that I made a mistake because I did not want the d4 pawn to be protected by a pawn. It was already protected by a queen and a bishop. I did not want to add uh, another protector, but in any case, I'm still happy. So what I do now is I moved my pawn on g. I moved my g pawn to g4, and here he had two choices. He could either take using his f pawn, or he could take using his g pawn, and and he decided to take using his f pawn. And then I realized, okay, so my knight is pinned and I cannot move my knight. So I decided to move my king away so that it's not pinned anymore. And let's see what he did. He moved his bishop here. Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to do here. But I moved my pawn ahead, so because I wanted to remove this pawn. And if he takes my pawn, I will take using my knight, and his bishop will be under attack. But he chose not to take my pawn and come forward. And here I had actually forgotten that my knight here is hanging, so I pushed my pawn even further, and he took my knight, and I was kind of taken aback by this. So yeah, he took my pawn, and let me see what I did. I probably took his pawn on g. Okay, yes, this, and then he took my pawn, and then I moved my queen back because it was under attack by the rook. And yeah, so there was some shuffling of the bishop and the queen, and then eventually I took the pawn on g, and he took the pawn back, and then I threatened. Then yeah, so this move is trying. So in case if he decides to take my bishop, I will take his bishop back using my rook, and his bishop will be under attack. So if he takes it, then there will be some problems. And he decides not to take it. He decided to move his pawn further. I don't know what the intention here was, but I also decided not to take his bishop, because if I took his bishop, his king would move forward, and I would not be able to threaten his bishop on g3. So I did not take, and I tried to make some waiting move so that he could take my bishop on h3, and so that I'll be able to bring my rook forward. And so here I moved my rook on a to f5. Yes, and I'm trying to threaten his rook. Either I'm asking it to either forcefully take my rook on f, so that I can move my queen to the f file, and if he does not take it, I would just take it. So he decided to take my bishop now, and I decided to take it, and he decided to do this, and this was actually surprising because I did not expect this. But I should have realized that when he moved his pawn back, when he moved this pawn, that this is what his intention was, and that is what he did, and this was all good. So let me remember what I tried to do here. Yeah, I had to move my king, I think, because it could not go. No, I did not have to move my king. What I did was I moved my queen to save the king. In case he decides to take my queen, I am okay. I am happy with that, because uh, if he takes my queen, if he takes my queen, I would move my rook on h to g file, and the king will have to move to the h file, and then that would be mate. So, but but obviously he did not take my queen because my rook was hanging, and that is all okay. So let me remember what I did here. Yes, so I moved my queen here to e3, and it was a check. So what happened here was, once I did this is check. He has to move his king, or or protect his king using the rook, and he decided to protect it using the rook. And I realized that he cannot, if I took his rook, he cannot take using his king or using his bishop, because then his either king would die or the queen would die. So I took the rook, and he decided to take my rook, and this is where he almost lost the game. Not almost, but he exactly lost the game. I took his queen, and here he's trying to attack my pawns, but danger levels, as Gotham chess teaches you, uh, it's okay even if he decides to take. So I moved my pawn further so that he is not able to attack it. He moved his rook here so that he can attack my pawn on d5. And so what did I do? Yes, I think I put him in a check. No, I didn't. I threatened his bishop. Yes. So even if he takes my d pawn, it does not matter because I'll get his bishop, and my pawn is getting closer to queening, and he decides to take my pawn. I don't know. He is stupid or something, but I took his bishop, and then he came downwards, and I protected my pawn again. And he is, I don't know what he's trying to do, but he has just lost the game. And let me see, what did he do? Yes, I did this. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to get him. I was trying to mate him here. So I'm getting closer and closer and closer. Okay. And here I made a mistake. What mistake did I make? He put me in check, and I moved here. And so this is all okay. I wanted to bring my king back on f3, because then it would be mate on the next move. So I wanted to do that, but because his rook is on f file, I cannot do that. I think I should have moved my king to h file. Yeah, I think that would have been better. I don't know why I did not do that, but in any case, I decided to take the pawn here, and he skewered me, he kebabbed me, and he took my queen. But it does not matter, because I have a knight, and I have connected pawns, so I just took all of his pawns, and this is a fork of between the pawn and the king. So yeah, he is lost here. So even if he gets my knight here, he's already lost. So yes, so I just made a queen, and this was mate in the center of the board. So yeah, fun times. See you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.